Okay, this is a really interesting clip. This is Piers Morgan debating with someone on this channel called Jubilee. And they're talking about therapy. And Piers Morgan thinks therapy today is just unnecessary and we're not building resilient society. And this guy says, no, it's actually been really helpful. Have a watch, because then I want to give you some thoughts from a Jewish perspective.
You haven't gone to therapy at all. How are you over therapy?
Why don't you come and talk to me if you want to talk to somebody? I'll soon sort you out.
I can talk to my therapist and we can actually engage in positive reconstruction of how I address things. Yes, actually, it's been very helpful for my mental health and my emotional health to be able to talk them through, to be able to, what can I do to make myself feel better in these circumstances? Am I being genuinely real here? Or am I being a little bit too overly emotional in circumstances? It's totally a question. I ask my therapist all the time. Yeah, so if you want to talk about being overly emotional, how to address being overly emotional, how about you just start with therapy? What's your solution? What's your solution?
Calm down.
I'm calm. I'm totally calm. Wait, do you think me talking fast is not being calm?
Just that you don't want me to get a word in, right? And
I wanted to finish my statement.
Right. I just think people go to therapy too much. Sorry, I do. You may not like to hear it, because I just think going and talking to some stranger about all your problems all the time, get a grip.
It's not all the time. It's every once in a while you go and talk about your problems specifically so you can address them. Do you not talk about your problems ever with anyone?
Parker.
This is the problem I talked about.
Parker, stop talking. I look at you and I see somebody who's confident, you're a good talker, you're obviously intelligent, you've also got a lot going for you. Stop spending all this money going to see some stranger to go over everything in agonizing detail.
It's not that much money to be able to go every once in a while to go see a therapist for me specifically in my life.
I've never been to one in my life.
It's not much money for you. You could easily go with the money that you make and go talk to a therapist.
I've no need to go.
I understand you don't want to. Everyone says that specifically before going into it. I said the same thing. But I'm telling you, you can actually address your emotions in a positive way.
Parker, here's what I'd rather do. I would rather, honestly, have groups of people like you in the woke world, right, who clearly are struggling with regular life, right?
I'm not struggling with
everything's
regular
a calamity, everything's a problem, has to be overanalyzed, over-dissected, over-therapized, and I just think you've all got to be given the mental tools to deal with ordinary life. Ordinary life.
We already have them. I actually have gone to therapy to do that.
Ordinary life, yeah, but without going to therapy all the time.
Wait, what's your solution? What's your solution?
So first of all, let me just give you my view from a bit of life experience so far, and then I want to go a little bit deeper into a Jewish view of things, because this is actually touching on something very, I think, important for a lot of people today. Essentially, on the one hand, Piers is saying we need resilience and we're getting far too touchy-feely, far too focused on our feelings. And this guy's saying, actually, I think there's something really healthy being able to check in with someone that's objective and that can help me understand about my inner world a bit, and maybe I can challenge some of the things that I'm overreacting to, underreacting to, getting a sense of what's healthy, what's appropriate in life. So I think my personal view is that unless one is dealing with something, very severe, or maybe have some kind of psychological clinical condition, I think seeing some kind of therapist or equivalent to that, and I'll specify what I mean in a moment, it can be helpful on occasion, from time to time, to deal with an issue. However, you don't, as I said before, it doesn't necessarily have to be a therapist. You could see a rabbi or a mentor, and also a friend, someone that is there to give you, has more life-earned experience, which I mean by a rabbi or a mentor, someone older, or a friend who is someone that really cares about you, but can look at things from a slightly more objective, outside perspective. That is helpful. So it doesn't always necessarily have to be a therapist per se, unless it's something you just don't really want to go into with another, or you feel like this actually could do with some specialized help. But the thing that Piers is saying is that, one second, you're telling me that we're creating a culture that on a regular basis, you're going to constantly go inward and check in with how am I feeling, how does this make me feel, analyze, overanalyze. And forget whether it's better for being resilient, whatever, and whether it's just not, the manly or whatever thing to do. Put that all to a side for a sec. Is it actually working, is my question. Are we as a society today more happy, content, more able to deal with the challenges of life than we were before? Some would argue that actually the therapy culture is making people more narcissistic, more just fragile, and less able to cope and deal with life. So this is where I want us to get a bit deeper from a Jewish perspective. Because if you think about it, today we go to therapists when we feel like we're burdened with our problems and our feelings. But essentially, a lot of therapy is not about just like, okay, let's diagnose, fix, and give you a path out quickly. It's about sitting with your feelings and constantly being there and constantly checking in. And part of therapy is to actually explore your even deeper issues, your deeper needs. So I think it was Rabbi Manis Friedman who was saying, well, you go to a therapy because you're feeling a bit whatever, despondent. And then it turns out you're jealous of your brother. And that's what's really going on. And he said, oh, thank you very much. You've now just made my needs even deeper. You've made me, and you go to therapy each time thinking about, okay, well, what other needs do I have, and how can I address those? And you're basically constantly honing in on your needs. But is that a good idea? And then he said, but even then, religion, contrary to what some people think is like this escape, can often for people be today a place that's also drawing attention to your needs and making you feel more and more vulnerable. So you go to religion, you find out your needs don't end at the grave. You better do what's right, or you're not going to get your spiritual needs met in this world and in heaven. Essentially, the truth is that focusing on your needs psychologically is a surefire way to depression. It is the very fact of focusing on one's needs the whole time and constantly honing in there that leads towards someone feeling depressed. Jordan Peterson, a psychologist, I saw him talk about this, explain this. Now, that isn't to say that seeing a psychologist or seeing a therapist isn't helpful, but it should be seen as a means to an end to not get fixated on this need, to be able to deal with it, address it, and then move on. But the fixation on one's needs, I think, can lead to a lot of sadness. So the question is, why is that? Surely you might think if I focus on my needs and I address them, on self-care, self-love, whatever you want to call it, then I will be more content. The reason why this doesn't work, and this is where I wanted to get deeper from a Jewish angle, is that it's actually an even deeper, far deeper question. What do we actually need in life to be content? What is it that we need? Many people have different views on this. Some people think it's power. Some say it's physical pleasure. Some say it's meaning. But if you think about it, what do I actually need? The shocking truth is nothing at all. Why is that? Nothing at all. That sounds ridiculous. Of course we have needs. Yeah, but did you need to be born in the first place? Did you need to be here? No. Did you ask to be born? No. So the very fact of your existence was not your need to begin with at all. So now that you're here, yes, you have needs, but you didn't even need to be here. So you can't tell me, I need to do this, I need to have this in life, No, I don't need to do anything. Actually, thank you very much, because I didn't need to be here. It was not my idea to be in this world at all. How's that for an idea? So part of the reason why we find focusing on our needs so depressing is because they're not mine. It wasn't my choice. I've just been burdened with this. It's like that guy in India, I don't know if you heard, a few years ago, sued his parents' wife for giving birth to him without his consent. Absolutely true. You can look it up. He sued his parents. He said, you should pay my bills for the rest of my life because I never agreed to be here. Unfortunately for him, his parents are lawyers. And they said, well, yeah, it's true that you didn't ask to be born, but neither did we. So where are you going to go? What are you going to do? Go to the grandparents? And they said, well, we didn't ask to be born either. No one ever asked to be born, which means no one ever needed to be born. Yes, now that I'm here, I have needs, but they're really handicaps. Handicaps of my existence. But the focusing on my needs is depressing because being here is not my need to begin with. It's untrue to be obsessed with my needs. How's that for an idea? So the radical, revolutionary idea of Judaism, revealed by God at Mount Sinai, is that God is a jealous God. That's what he said when he first uttered the Ten Commandments. He said, I am a jealous God, meaning I am the one who created this world, not you. I am the one that is jealous, meaning desiring of relationship with you. I am the one that needs, not you. And it's not a need in the human sense of a handicap, it's a need in the sense of a real purposeful need. So what makes God actually part of his perfection is the fact that he insists, just me is not enough. I want to share my existence. I need to. And that's why the last of the 10 Commandments is, don't you be jealous. Don't you be the one that thinks you're needy, because you're not. You're not here because you're needy, you're here because you're needed. So yes, deal with your handicaps in life, your challenges, but only as a means to an end. The radical idea of the Torah is that God is the one that needs you. You're not needy. You're needed. And it turns out, and psychologists are clocking onto this, that the more you focus not on your needs, but on what you're needed for, the happier you're going to be. Not just because it means you're not obsessed with taking care of all your needs, which are an endless pot, but because this is tapping into the real truth and purpose and mission of your existence. So what do human beings need? Nothing at all. We didn't need to be here. But now that we are here, the thing that can keep us content and flying is just doing what is needed of us and knowing that we are needed. That's why during COVID you had these doctors working crazy hours, hardly eating a thing, hardly sleeping, and yet they were firing on all cylinders. It turns out that when you focus on what's needed of you, your needs kind of take a backseat. They kind of take care of themselves. That is the radical idea of Judaism. And I think through conversations like the one we saw here, it's going to set the stage for this kind of reality. Before you go, you have to check out the trailer for our new documentary on Moshiach, the Jewish belief about the Messiah, what he will do, how the world will look after his coming, and why his arrival is close. And if you want to watch the full thing, just click the link below in the video description. For thousands of years, the Jewish people have carried a promise that history is not a random cycle, that suffering and darkness and exile are not the end of the story, that one day the world will be redeemed and the Messiah, the Moshiach in Hebrew, will come. But what does that actually mean? Who is Moshiach? When will he come? How will we know he's real? Why would God design a world that waits so long for redemption in the first place? And what will life feel like after he comes? With AI and machines beginning to replace work, maybe we're already catching a glimpse. But then what will we do with our days? The prophets spoke of that world long ago. In this groundbreaking JTV Plus documentary, we uncover the truth about the Jewish vision of the Messiah, who he is, why it matters, and why his coming could be closer than you think. Join us as we reveal the truth about history's most anticipated figure. To watch this JTV Plus documentary and access much more premium content, click on the link in the video description.